What it is, what it's YouTube, I'm going to another YouTube video. This video we are reacting to The Hunt for El Chapo by Fern. Let's get straight to it. Not like to waste your time. Please like and subscribe to this. Hopefully this video I take forever editing. I'm trying hard. You don't understand. I grind harder than everybody else. I grind hard. No pause, just resume. Let's get straight into this. I don't know why I grabbed the camera. I'm not going to cut anything. Alright.
This is the most heavily guarded prison in Mexico. Tall mesh fences, huge watchtowers. The area is a no-fly zone.
Is it bad that I don't know where this is? Like what it is?
This prison is considered to be unescapable. Yet today, someone will escape. This someone happens to be the world's most powerful drug lord, El Chapo. He won't use any violence.
Like, imagine being him. Like, you know how much aura you have? Like, the amount of aura that he has is, like, it's just crazy.
So, guys.
What the fuck?
Nor will he climb over the fence. All he will do is walk into his shower and disappear. This is the story of how El Chapo became one of the most successful drug dealers in the history of mankind. How he was hunted by authorities for decades, and how he escaped them over and over.
Didn't he, like, have people... Like, did he, like, have people that would dig a tunnel, like, underground, like, legitimately? And then, like, he would wait outside, and then he would do some things. And then he'd go back in the jail? Or something like
over again. And it's the story of how an interview with a Hollywood actor and a failing car engine finally brought him down.
So, guys.
That's funny as fuck. Alright. Man from the mountain.
Joaquin Archivado Guzman Loera was born on April 4th, 1957.
Fucking what?
In a poor family in a poor neighborhood, the village La Tuna in Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains.
Okay, you own the town. You decide to name it La Tuna. Wait, hold on. What does La Tuna mean in English? No. How do I find Spanish? Whatever, auto-detect. The tuna in English is the prickly pear. Who the hell is naming a town the prickly pear?
So, guys.
Ultimately setting up his own organization with other traffickers, the Sinaloa cartel. He organizes planes, trucks, and rail cars to deliver cocaine and heroin into the United States. And he even builds border-crossing tunnels, a skill that will come in handy many years later. In those early years, one incident really puts El Chapo on the map. This is Juan Jesus Posadas. He's the Archbishop of Guadalajara and a cardinal, one of the highest ranks in the church. Posadas is a popular man. He advocates for the poor and publicly condemns drug trade. Right now, he is on his way to the airport to meet an ambassador of the Vatican. At the same time, El Chapo and his bodyguards pull into the parking lot. They are here to catch a flight to the beach resort town of Puerto Vallarta, one of El Chapo's favorite places to party. We don't know exactly what happened in this parking lot next. One thing we know for sure, though, the cardinal will not survive. This is the official version. These brothers run a drug trafficking operation out of Tijuana. They are at war with El Chapo and his cartel. They fight over drug-running territory, and somehow they get wind that El Chapo is going to be at the airport that day. So one of the brothers and a group of gunmen rush there to ambush.
If he just, like, happens to have intel, like, one of his buddies or something is like a rat, and he's getting paid way more than El Chapo's paying him. Like, you have to pay me so much to just snitch out somebody, especially if they're selling cocaine or heroin, smuggling drugs into the U.S. border. Like, that's crazy. We shall build a wall.
him. When they spot him and his bodyguards, they step out of their cars and open fire. El Chapo and his men run toward the terminal building, taking cover behind cars in the lot. It's raining bullets, but somehow they manage to escape without getting hit. The failed assassination leaves 7 people dead, among them the Cardinal. This is the version of events that authorities will publicly report. Posadas was caught in the crossfire. Wrong time, wrong place. But there are doubts about this story. His death doesn't appear like a coincidence. Forensic experts will later say it's likely that the gunman killed the Cardinal deliberately. He was shot 14 times from close range.
I'm gonna go get a hoodie. Oh, like, come back. The judge is standing. Crying. Emojis. Oh shit, I just fell. Oh shit. Yeah, I got all drugs in the world that you need. No, I don't like that. Headphones, headset over the hoodie day. I can't hear shit.
Have mistaken the cars. El Chapo regularly drives a white Mercury Grand Marquis, the same model Posadas sat in that day. The gunman thought it's El Chapo's car and opened fire. But the Cardinal wore his robe when he was shot. He was not dressed at all like a drug lord. If the gunman killed him at a close range, how could they have confused him with El Chapo? Years later, the successor of Posadas will make a serious accusation. He claims the murder of the Cardinal was a crime of the state.
Se trató de un crimen de Estado, perpetrado por la Policía Judicial Federal, es decir, por la Policía de la PGR.
He believes the police carried out the killing for the Mexican government. Posadas had accused government officials of having ties to these cartels. Up to this day, it remains.
So the police is helping smuggling drugs across the border? You have to pay me like a fucking rat.
Remains a mystery. What really happened in 1993 at Guadalajara Airport?
Oh, shucks.
This is El Chapo's wife, his sons, and one of his closest partners. Just 2 months ago, El Chapo was captured and brought to LT.
Who wants to marry a drug lord? Like, if I married a drug lord, it's not El Chapo. It's somebody that's not fucking famous and somebody who's not, is like, he's off-grid.
Plano Maximum Security Prison. Now the group is working on a plan to get him out. They begin by acquiring an old property 1 kilometer away from the prison.
This is what I, oh shit! I just fell back on chair. That's what I was talking about earlier.
Next, they buy an old warehouse nearby.
Yes,
Here they store weapons in an armored pickup truck. Then they hire workers for one very specific job, digging a sophisticated tunnel. Back in 1993, after the shootout at Guadalajara Airport, the Mexican government placed a bounty on El Chapo. It took just 2 weeks until he was found and arrested. He denies being responsible for the death of the Cardinal. He insists that he was the supposed target of the shootout. Ultimately, the authorities believe him. They don't charge him for homicide, just for drug trafficking. He is sentenced to 20 years in a Mexican prison.
Serious conversation here. Do y'all tug and roll, pinch and twist? Me, I'm more of like a... It's kind of weird.
But he continues to run the Sinaloa cartel from behind bars. Through his lawyers, he passes orders to his closest allies. He doesn't need to be in the room to pull strings. His empire runs on whispered instructions and tightly coordinated moves. Sometimes, real power is remote. With AnyDesk, you can access any desktop from anywhere. It works with all the major platforms: Windows, Mac, iOS, Linux.
I'm not sponsored. AnyDesk. I'm just saying, you know.
In the following years, the Mexican cartel landscape changes dramatically. In 2002, the leader of the Tijuana cartel is killed in a shootout with police. One of the brothers who had supposedly tried to assassinate El Chapo at the airport. A year later, the leader of the Gulf cartel was arrested. 2 major cartels are now without leadership.
Hold on. I gotta turn that fucking thing off. This pissed me off.
So, guys.
Okay, I'm turning off this mod, and I'm also turning off fucking.
Okay.
Fucking turn off the. Okay. No. I got annoying shit from this mod. And then I'm also gonna turn it off when I press F1. Slowly annoying. History, downloads, settings, bookmarks, extensions. Wait, what is it? I don't know what it is. Okay, whatever.
El Chapo sees an opportunity. He pushes into Tijuana and Gulf territory, triggering brutal fighting. Nuevo Laredo, an area along the US-Mexican border, practically turns into a war zone. Former forces of the Mexican army begin working for El Chapo. They clash with what's left of the Gulf cartel, whose core fighters were partly trained by the US. Early on, the violence results in more than 1,000 deaths, many of them civilians. And that's only the beginning.
Okay, so each one of these is 100.
In
1,000
2006,
deaths?
Felipe
That's-
Calderón becomes Mexico's new president. Determined to crack down on organized crime, he declares war on the cartels and deploys the military. The violence escalates dramatically. Between 2007 and 2014, over 160,000 people died in the course of the war on drugs in Mexico. In these years of bloodshed, El Chapo rises. He becomes the world's most wanted criminal, transforming the Sinaloa cartel into one of the most powerful criminal organizations in history. It becomes the top supplier of drugs to the United States: cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. El Chapo's cartel operates in 50 countries and generates billions of dollars
Oh
in
my gosh. Speaking about fentanyl, y'all hear about how they're giving out little kids sweet tart bags for the fentanyl pills? Like, there's a video on it. We can watch it later.
profits each year. In turn, El Chapo becomes extremely wealthy, eventually making Forbes' list of the world's billionaires. No wonder it's hard to keep him locked up. El Chapo's rescue commando needs to know the exact location of his prison cell, so they smuggle a GPS watch into his prison cell, disguised as a food item. Now the workers know in what direction they need to dig. Over the span of a year, they dig a sophisticated tunnel.
No, he was, in 2019, he was found guilty of numerous crimes. He was incarcerated at ADX Forces, Colorado, United States.
Carefully planned complex construction, costing approximately $5 million to make. The tunnel is 1.5 kilometers long and 1.70 meters high. It is reinforced by a wooden frame. There are lights and even a ventilation system. Digging a tunnel creates a lot of dirt, so the workers build a rail system with a motorcycle adapted to it to move the dirt out of the tunnel. The construction is also supposed to function as an escape vehicle later on. But how did El Chapo end up in El Altiplano in the first place?
Ah, gee, I don't fucking know. Why don't you tell me?
Andrew Hogan is an agent with the Drug Enforcement Agency. He wants to take down the most powerful drug lord on Earth, perhaps in history. Currently, he's looking for allies, but he soon discovers somehow there is no task force, no team, not even a single federal agent assigned to the job of bringing El Chapo to justice. So he takes a Spanish class and prepares to move to Mexico. Meanwhile, one of Andrew's colleagues in the US manages to get the pin to El Chapo's BlackBerry, thanks to someone in his inner circle. He tracks down his phone to the holiday resort Cabo San Lucas. The colleague immediately calls Andrew. They're excited, and so they pass the information to the officials in Mexico. The DEA and Mexican police quickly head down to the place where El Chapo is supposedly hiding, but he's nowhere to be found. Next, they narrow down El Chapo's phone signal to one of 3 mansions near the resort Cabo San Lucas. This time, it's a hit. He's there. But before the forces arrive, El Chapo just escapes through the back door. Somehow he makes it to an airstrip without
The biggest drug lord in history. Why are you carrying a phone? Like, are you fucking stupid?
being caught and is flown to safety.
And how the hell are you letting him escape through the back door and fly through a fucking plane?
So, guys.
El Chapo always seems to be one step ahead. He constantly changes his SIM cards and phones and simply outsmarts the authorities. One DEA agent supposedly said the Mexicans couldn't catch El Chapo if he was standing at the fucking Starbucks across the street from the embassy. But Andrew Hogan doesn't give up.
Hello, YQZ here. If you're enjoying me watching this about El Chapo, so I don't want to say it. Please like, comment, subscribe. It takes a long time to make and edit these videos. God first, God bless. Have fun. You're in for it.
In May 2012, he moves to Mexico City with his family and takes over the Sinaloa case. In the months that follow, he and his team begin intercepting members of El Chapo's inner circle. Bit by bit, they uncovered the cartel's complex communication system, how often numbers are changed, possible code names, and GPS locations. Slowly, a picture begins to emerge. One day, El Chapo seemingly wants to meet an underling in person, and he sends one of his chauffeurs to pick him up. Hogan tracks his phone. The chauffeur finally arrives at a place in Culiacan. The signal leads to a group of 5 houses. Hogan organizes a capture operation with dozens of Mexican Marines, helicopters, and trucks, and he joins the mission himself. They surround the property and storm inside. But once again, El Chapo is gone. Instead, they find a strangely placed bathtub covering the entrance to a tunnel that leads into the sewers of Culiacan. But this time, the Marines manage to stay on El Chapo's tail. 3 days later, they find out that one of his men had driven him to the coastal town of Mazatlan, to a hotel. The Marines enter the 4th floor of the hotel. They storm into room 401, heading straight for the bedroom. El Chapo is with his family. He barricades himself in the bathroom with an assault rifle. His wife pleads with the soldiers not to harm their daughters. Shortly after El Chapo surrenders, they got him. Andrew Hogan's job is done now. He caught the most wanted man on the planet, and he worries for the safety of his family, who moved to Mexico with him. So they board a plane back to the US. Meanwhile, El Chapo goes to Altiplano. The US is pushing hard for his
If you just kill the biggest, most wanted guy ever, the witness protection program that you would need, or if it's even called that, like, almost everybody's gunning for your bitch ass. Like, you are a cunt.
So, guys.
extradition. This would likely be his doom, the end of his reign. Time for another tunnel. The rescue team and the workers managed to locate the exact spot of El Chapo's cell shower. They build a 10-meter vertical passageway that connects the tunnels to the cell.
What was his net worth? His net worth was like, it was $1 billion USD. His first sentence was 20-year prison term. Okay.
Including a lab, ultimately setting up his own organization with other traffickers, the Sinaloa cartel. He organizes planes, trucks, and rail cars to deliver cocaine and heroin. Of El Chapo's cell shower. Guards ignore them. El Chapo's rescue team manages to complete the 5 million tunnel directly into his prison cell, without anyone interfering. All that's left is breaking through the cell floor, and thus comes the day. El Chapo sits on his bed. A surveillance camera monitors him closely. The camera also records audio. You can hear television, the volume is turned up. But you also hear loud banging noises. Probably someone is breaking through the cell floor. Next, El Chapo begins to pace up and down in his cell. After some time, he walks to his shower stall, bends over, and goes back to his bed. He removes his shoes, sits for a second. Then he walks behind the shower wall and simply disappears. He squeezes through the hole in the ground. It's just 50 by 50 centimeters wide. 1 meter below, he finds footing on a ladder. He climbs down 10 meters into the ground until he reaches the tunnel. Someone is already waiting for him, likely his wife's brother. The rescuer sits on the motorcycle on rails. El Chapo climbs on behind him. Together they make the 1.5 kilometer ride to the other end of the tunnel. When they arrive, El Chapo and his companion climb up a small ladder through the exit shaft. They end up in an unfinished house, covered with construction material. An ATV is parked outside. They drive a short distance to a warehouse and switch to an SUV. Then they drive for 2 hours, until they arrive at an airstrip. A plane is already waiting. They board it and fly to Sinaloa.
What would all that shit cost?
2 months later, one of El Chapo's sons posts a tweet. "I'm doing fine here. You already know with whom." Attached is a photo, presumably with his father. The tweet is tagged with a location, Costa Rica. Let's back up for a second. Something's about
Your own son rats you out? That's
So, guys.
up.
the spectacular escape just don't add up. There's video footage of guards watching their screens as El Chapo disappears, yet it takes them 20 minutes to check his cell. They even wait a few more minutes before they finally enter and check the escape hole. Also, it seems unlikely that building such a tunnel truly went unnoticed, after all inmates actively complained about the drilling noise. A large majority of Mexicans believe the escape was an inside job. Shortly after El Chapo's second prison escape, the prison's warden and 2 other officials were fired. Next, 4 Mexican officials were charged. 2 were members of Mexico's Secret Service, based at the prison. The other 2 were guards who sat in the control room, monitoring El Chapo's cell. The accusation is that they bought El Chapo valuable time by not raising the alarm once the drug lord was gone. And El Chapo, he again becomes one of the most wanted criminals on Earth. The pressure to finally bring him to justice is higher than ever. The hunt is on.
What does El Chapo stand for? Like, the Pastora? Who's the worst in Guatemala? Damn. El Chapo into English is El Chapo.
El Chapo.
El
El Chapo.
Chapo.
Yeah, but what does L means he. The
Then El Chapo makes a crazy move. He knows he's considered a legend in Mexico, and he wants even more fame. A movie about his life on the big screen. Sean Penn is already involved in a production about him, along with Mexican actress Kate del Castillo. Castillo manages to contact El Chapo and his associates. Finally, El Chapo agrees to meet her and Sean Penn in person to talk about the movie, while technically he's on the run. This is a photo of the meetup. Sean Penn interviews El Chapo about his career as a drug lord, a story later published by the Rolling Stone. In it, Penn reveals that El Chapo's escape tunnel engineers have been flown to Germany for 3 months of extensive additional training, necessary to deal with the low-lying water table beneath the prison. It's a gripping read. Beneath his smile, there's a doubtlessness to his facial expression. A question comes to mind as I observe his face, both as he speaks as while he listens. What is it that removes all doubt from a man's eyes? Is it power, admirable clarity, or soullessness? But according to government sources, the interview is also a crucial factor for investigators to get closer to El Chapo. Apparently all the while they're monitoring Penn and Castillo's movements very closely. It's October 9th, 2015. Mexican special forces are closing in on him in the mountains of Sinaloa. After a while, they actually spot him. He's only got 1 bodyguard with him. This is their moment. They take off after them, chasing them through the terrain. As they get nearer, El Chapo falls off a cliff. His bodyguard finds him and carries him to the depths of the forest. The special forces lose sight of them and they escape. A catastrophic failure. But the authorities don't give up the hunt. In January 2016, they get another chance. The Marines manage to locate El Chapo once again in the coastal city of Los Mochis. The clue comes from a taco order placed from a white van. Witnesses say the driver is one of El Chapo's men. The Marines begin to surveil the car. It ultimately leads them to a safe house. A few hours later, the soldiers storm the place. Cartel gunmen try to hold them off. A gunfight breaks out. The Marines eventually push up to the second floor, then the roof. But El Chapo is gone. True to his form, he and one of his gunmen fled through a hidden tunnel. Right now, they are climbing out of a drainage tunnel a short
What's with these fucking tunnels, and why is there a Walmart behind them?
distance away, right across from a Walmart. El Chapo and his gunmen need to escape quickly. They steal a car, guns drawn, but after just driving a few blocks, the car breaks down, so they ditch it and lose valuable time. Then they take over another car and manage to get on the highway, but it's too late. Police finally arrest El Chapo, one of history's most powerful drug lords. He tells the officers, "You are all going to die." 40 of his assassins are supposedly on their way to free him, but he gets handed over to the Marines, and it's over. After a decade of hide and seek, escaping over and over again, in all likelihood protected by systemic corruption, El Chapo has finally been caught. Later that day, the Mexican president tweets, "Mission accomplished. We have him." Soon after, El Chapo was extradited to the United States, the one thing he truly feared. On July 17, 2019, 3 years after his second escape, he was sentenced to life in Colorado's Supermax prison. That's where he remains locked up to this day. The Sinaloa cartel and other Mexican cartels are as strong as ever, operating as undeterred global organizations. There's so much more to this story that we couldn't cover in this video, but apparently, some video journalist obsessed with maps is about to pick it up very soon.
Oh, hi Fern. Love your stuff.
We will keep you posted.
Chat. I'm gonna go take a piss, and then we're gonna watch like 4 more. No, I got like 3 more left, I guess.